Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about. There will be more indictments from the Durham Probe Special Counsel, and that's because the Steele dossier was completely fabricated. And we're slowly finding out that, to the dismay of Democrats, they knew this. They actually knew that a dossier compiled simply to go after Trump was fabricated, completely made up. They literally purchased their own myth. And you have three people already indicted, one FBI attorney, one subsource, and one lawyer at a Clinton-linked law firm. Another lawyer might get indicted, and we're going to talk about all the other people who could possibly get charged as well. To my super chat, Yvette, I cannot thank you enough, Yvette, for being so wonderful, for your support via super chat and also on my Patreon. Thank you, Yvette. Herschel Ballard, thank you so very much, Herschel, as always. Herschel and Yvette, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, hold on one second. This is hilarious. Hold on one second. Hold on. All right, we're back. Thank you so very much, everybody. So Herschel, Yvette, Janet, JG, hello JG, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, the two best moderators in all of YouTube. Thank you so very much. And let's get started. Herschel, thank you again. Yvette, thank you as always. Steele dossier funder Mark Elias testified before John Durham's grand jury. We're going to get to the indictment also of Michael Sussmann, and we'll read that indictment. We will read that indictment. It's very interesting because it talks about why possibly, potentially, like Comey says, potentially, his former colleague, Elias, could possibly be charged as well. And we're going to talk about also indictment of Igor Danchenko. So all of these people, okay, and I mean, we can go ahead and also talk about Kleinsmith. But Kleinsmith falsified records, falsified information to a FISA judge, to deceive a FISA judge. And that's pretty straightforward. He falsified information to deceive a FISA judge. So, JG, everyone here, thank you. To my super chat, I can't do it without you. Thank you so very, very much. Ben D, hello. Everybody here, hello. So let's go ahead and start. Steele dossier funder Mark Elias testified before John Durham's grand jury. This is very interesting. So let's see here. Why does this? All right. Democratic lawyer Mark Elias, infamous for funding British ex-spy Christopher Steele's discredited dossier, gave grand jury testimony as part of special counsel John Durham's investigation into the origins of the flawed Trump-Russia investigation. The revelation was made in a Tuesday court filing by Durham's team in the case against Elias's former Perkins co-law firm colleague Michael Sussmann, who was indicted last year. Durham said in the filing that the special counsel team, quote, maintains an active, ongoing criminal investigation of the defendant's conduct and other matters. Sussmann, interestingly enough, this is interesting, okay? Sussmann is being indicted primarily because he's accused of lying to James Baker, the FBI counsel, who himself was under criminal investigation at one point. He was accused of having lied. He was accused of having lied about knowing the Steele dossier was nonsense. He was accused of knowing the Steele dossier was completely fabricated, yet still passing it on to the FBI, from what I understand. And we'll read the indictment on Sussmann. The hilarious thing is that everyone at the FBI knew it was nonsense also. Okay? Everyone at the FBI knew it was nonsense. You can look really quickly at former FBI counsel James Baker under criminal investigation. Okay? So here you have, this is from January 15th, 2019. Why is that important? Well, that's important because they were all in on it. Former General Counsel, FBI General Counsel James Baker is under criminal investigation for leaks, according to new information. Two of President Donald Trump's Republican allies are raising questions about a leak investigation involving Baker in a letter to the Justice Department. Baker has become a central focus of Republicans recently, as his closed-door testimony to lawmakers last fall confirmed that top officials at the FBI were concerned that the president may have been working to benefit Russia. They all knew. Strzok is on with Rachel Maddow saying, he might have worked with Russia. They knew he didn't. How did they know? Because there was no intelligence from the United States. Not one shred of information. Furthermore, it's unprecedented to go and imagine waking up to that every morning. Wow. It's unprecedented to investigate an incoming U.S. candidate. Kilgore Trout, thank you. Thank you, Kilgore Trout, thank you. People say, well, you know what? Why don't you thank people after? And I'm like, no, I'm going to thank people. If they're kind enough to support me, I'm going to go ahead and thank them. Kilgore Trout, thank you so very, very much. Thank you so very much. I hope all is well. So, let's just continue. The indictment against Sussmann. So here. Hello. Let's just move. Suddenly I got 300 more viewers. The indictment against Sussmann. The indictment against Sussmann centers on September 19, 2016 meeting between him and FBI General Counsel James Baker, in which Sussmann pushed the debunked allegations of a secret back channel between Russia's Alpha Bank. Oh, that's right. Okay. So it was, I think that was also mentioned in the Steele dossier, that nonsense, but it was the Alpha Bank, not necessarily just the Steele dossier, but they knew, they found out that it had nothing to do, it was like a marketing, it was basically like a marketing thing, an internet marketing thing that had nothing to do with Trump. So they never had any information. They never had any data. John Brennan, Clapper, the National Security Agency, none of them had any data, evidence, emails, suspects. They had nothing. They relied on a third-party tech firm outsourced by the Democratic Party. And that's how they went after Trump. They didn't have, like, when Peter Strzok, the audacity, the man was kicked off of the Mueller probe, and he had text messages here. We'll just go ahead. Strzok text messages will stop. So FBI agents FBI agents text messages disclosed by Justice Watchdog will stop Trump from becoming president. Okay, this is CNBC. All right, that's Peter Strzok. So you had Peter Strzok saying, we'll stop Trump. What more do you need? You had agents that did not want Trump. You had people that did not want Trump in office. They did not want him. And could you imagine if it's we'll stop Clinton or Biden or any Democrat? You would never hear the end of it from Jimmy Kimmel, who has no business talking about politics. If the man had to debate anybody who knew anything about politics, he wouldn't stand a chance. But anyway, previous texts exchanged by Strzok and Lisa Page already landed the pair in hot water. So it's like an FBI agent who worked on the special counsel's Russia probe texted another investigator that will stop Donald Trump from becoming elected. What more do you need? What more do you need? I mean, what more do you need to know? Bogdana Bupai! Yvette Herschel, thank you. Bogdana Bupai, thank you for all you do. I know it takes a lot of work and passion to keep us all up to date. Free voices like yours are needed more than ever. Bogdana Bupai, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Bogdana Bupai. Unfortunately, what have we been talking about here? Remember all those times Bogdana Bubai was saying that the market is going to tank. I'm saying that Bitcoin's going to get to 10,000. The Dow's going to get to 20,000. Jeremy Grantham thinks the S&P 500 is going to be cut by half. The thing's tanking really quickly, ladies and gentlemen, really quickly. I just want to show Bogdana Bupai this really quickly. And everybody here, Dow futures, check out the Dow futures, okay? This thing ain't looking good. This is not looking good. This is not looking good, okay? Unfortunately, I don't want anyone to lose money. Bogdana Bupai, check this out. This is after Fed Chairman Powell said, yeah, we're going to raise rates probably around 4 times. 3 to 4 times, because really quickly everybody, the prevailing mentality of a lot of people was, well, the markets. First of all, I've been saying since last year, Bogdana Bupai, everybody here, thank you so very much as always. I was saying there's going to be a crash, devastating stock market crash. There's going to be a recession. Elon Musk is saying that now. But not only do we see a slow motion crash, we're going to get the unfortunately, because I don't want any Democrat to lose money. Really quickly, we'll get back to the Durham probe in a second. But I don't want anyone to lose money. I don't care if you're like an idealistic, left-leaning, socialist, commie, Democratic, partisan, anyone. Doesn't matter. I don't want you to lose. If you think Trump is like an orange menace, authoritarian monster, I don't want you to lose money, because this is, this is people's welfare, their families. This is going to tank. I said Dow 20,000. Unfortunately, this is a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe in the making, ladies and gentlemen. Eric H526JG, everybody here, Yvette Herschel, I'm telling everyone. Now, your life and your happiness, everybody, you should be happy, and God bless you all, and focus on love and happiness and laughter and kindness and your hobbies and poetry and old movies and just music. Everything should be on the upswing for your lives. So God bless you all. But for the country, we're going into a tailspin because of Democratic policies that ended economic activity 2 years ago. This is no good right now. So the whole thing with the whole Fed chairman, really quickly, and subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I did 2 segments on this. The whole thing with the Fed chairman today was, he's going to just explain to the market that there needs to be rate hikes. Okay, and once people understand that, that's all they need to know. Okay? Exactly. JG, peace and love and freedom. Exactly. David, hello. Tammy, hello. But really quickly, Bogdanov, thank you again. Really quickly, this thing's going to tank. This thing is going to tank. Dow down 361 already. S&P 500 down 55. NASDAQ down 220. This, okay, this is going to go below 30,000 soon. This will go below 4,000. This will go below 11,000. Okay, or at least it'll go below 13,000. Not long from now. Okay, but we'll get back to that in a second. We'll get back to that in a second. Mueller probe, Strzok. Okay, now just really quickly, very important, and Bogdana Papai, thank you so very much. Everyone here, thank you to my super chat, thank you. FBI agent Peter Strzok fired over anti-Trump text messages. The FBI has fired Agent Peter Strzok, who helped lead the Bureau's investigation. Okay, they fired the man after he was kicked off of the Mueller probe, okay, for being too anti-Trump. You have to be really anti-Trump to be kicked off of the Mueller probe. I repeat, you have to be really anti-Trump to be kicked off of the Mueller probe. And then you have this nonsense, oh, this isn't a normal process. This decision should deeply be troubling to all Americans. They set up and framed an incoming candidate. I mean, do you want to see the Gomerization? Do you want to see the Gomerization? Okay? Do you want to know what the Gomerization was about? Okay? Okay, I think that the JG, everyone here, Yvette, Bogdana Papai, do you want the Gomerization? Okay, let's see this. Let's get Gomerized. Let's get Gomerized. This is better than any Alec Baldwin Madman video. Okay, so Gomer Strzok. Okay. Okay. This Odin. Ah, gee, thank you, Odin. You are the best, Mr. Goodman, says Columba. Odin, thank you. Bogdana Babai. Odin, thank you so very much. Odin. So, thank you so very much, Odin, as always. So here, okay, hold on. All right, hold on one second. Lord. All right, hold on one second. All right, so here, really quickly. Okay? It's the best thing that you've ever seen in your entire life. Do you understand? It's the best thing you've ever seen in your life. Okay, check this out. Check it out.
About a hostile foreign power affecting our election. Do you recall the intelligence community Inspector General Chuck McCulloch having an investigation into an anomaly found on Hillary Clinton's emails?
I do not.
Well, let me refresh your recollection. The intelligence community Inspector General Chuck McCulloch sent his investigator, Frank Rucker, along with an IG attorney, Jeanette McMillan, to brief you and Dean Chappelle and two
So he knows exactly what Gomer's talking about. Okay, he knows exactly what Gomer's talking about, but he's just saying no, I don't know. All right, he knows exactly what Gomer's talking about. He's just saying I don't know. But check it out.
Other FBI personnel that I won't name at this time about an anomaly they had found on Hillary Clinton's emails that were going to and from the private unauthorized server that you were supposed to be investigating. Now, do you remember it?
I remember meeting Mr. Rucker on either one or two occasions. I do not remember the specific content or discussions.
Well, I'll help you with that too then. Mr. Rucker reported to those of you, the four of you there, in the presence of the IG attorney, that they had found this anomaly on Hillary Clinton's emails going through her private server. And when they had done the forensic analysis, they found that her emails, every single one except for four, over 30,000 of them, were going to an address that was not on the distribution list. It was.
So he's looking, and you can see Strzok is kind of smiling because he knows. And he helped Hillary Clinton a great deal. This man helped Hillary Clinton a great deal because James Comey had a speech where, according to reports, Peter Strzok deleted references to a U.S. a statute that would lead to Espionage Act indictments. Or he deleted parts of the press conference speech that might have implicated the Secretary of State. Okay? So he deleted parts of the speech, and he's like smiling, right? So check this out. This is kind of, we're going to get to the Gomerization. We might just do this. We might just replay the Gomerization like endlessly for the whole time here. But hold on one second.
It was a compartmentalized bit of information that was sending it to an unauthorized source. Do you recall that?
Sir, I don't.
Well, he went on to explain it, and you didn't say anything.
No.
You thanked him, you shook his hand, but the problem was that it was going to an unauthorized source that was a foreign entity unrelated to Russia. And from what you've said here, you did nothing more than nod and shake the man's hand when you didn't seem to be all that concerned about our national integrity of our election when it was involving Hillary Clinton.
So just the fact that you had Clinton's emails potentially going to another location, that's a huge problem. Okay, you had Peter Strzok, he's one of the top counterintelligence. He's supposed to be a counterintelligence official. Okay, a counterintelligence official. All right, he's supposed to be a counterintelligence official. And apparently he just doesn't care that government emails with top secret and special access program intelligence on them are going to a location other than somewhere within the U.S. government or within secure locations within the U.S. government. But let's continue.
Forensic examination was done by the ICIG, and they can document that. But you were given that information and you did nothing with it. And one of the things I found most egregious with Mr. Horowitz's testimony, and by the way, Horowitz got a call 4 times by someone wanting to brief him, leaving messages telling him about this, and he never returned the call. He had 500 pages of bias that he gave us, and then he threw a bone to the Democrats and said, but we can't find bias. And let me tell you, when you have tech.
So the Inspector General Horowitz, the hilarious thing about what Gomer is doing, really, this relates directly to Sussmann, this man Elias, okay, who might possibly get indicted because he might have lied somehow in the grand jury testimony if he said something that Sussmann didn't, or that's proven to be false because Sussmann or Kleinsmith or the subsource, the people who were indicted, if they contradict him and it's found out that Elias did not tell the truth about something, he could possibly get indicted. A lot of people will, okay? Strzok could very well get indicted by the Durham probe, okay? Comey could, McCabe could, Brennan, Clapper could. All of these people set up and framed Trump. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. They set up and framed Trump. They knew that Trump was innocent. They needed a pretext to investigate him. They needed a pretext to kick his national security advisor. They didn't want his foreign policy. And we're seeing what Biden's foreign policy is all about now. We saw it. We saw what happened when he botched the Doha agreement that Trump negotiated finally, which would have been negotiated a lot sooner were it not for the Peter Strzok. Okay? This was about trying to stop Trump, which is exactly what he did. He tried to stop Trump. He tried to stop Trump. They all did. That's what this is about. This is about preventing an incoming candidate, from actually functioning as a president. And just check this out. This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. So here.
Messages, Mr. Strzok, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off 100 pages of bias that he gave us, and then he threw a bone to the Democrats and said, but we can't find bias. And let me tell you, when you have text messages, Mr. Strzok, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases, and we all have them. And you have come in here and said, I had no bias.
By the way, you're not allowed to have a bias towards Trump. So William Barr was his personal attorney, not just biased. Everything is sensationalized when Democrats view that you're not objective, which actually means siding with them, then it's a big problem. Not only are you biased, but you need to recuse yourself. Recuse. You must recuse immediately. You must recuse immediately. You cannot be part of any. Okay, they got an attorney general. This has never happened before. Jeff Sessions. They got an attorney general to recuse himself. Okay, and that whole absurd, horrible, completely dangerous message board hoax that I told everyone about and warned about, okay, long before all of the wonderful liberal journalists, said, oh, what's this? Anyone telling you to trust Jeff Sessions or the notion of trust is an absurd notion when it comes to people you never met. No, you wouldn't even go to a car dealership and say, well, I trust the car dealer. Trust the dealer. When have you heard that? Trust the dealer. You never heard that. You have to earn trust. Trust is earned. It's not just given. But anyway, so Strzok said we'll stop Trump Trump voters are smelly, all of these things. And the whole exchange was, he's not going to become president, right? Right? No, we'll stop him. So.
And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying. And he could probably pass a polygraph.
And he could probably pass a polygraph. Ah. Everybody knows he's lying, and he can probably pass a polygraph. I mean, Bogdana Papai, does the current administration have any way of curtailing or stopping the Durham probe? No, they don't. Bogdana Papai, they don't. They don't have any way of stopping the Durham probe.
Point.
They don't. They don't have any way of stopping the Durham probe. Bogdana Papai, they do not. And here's why. It's a special counsel, and they can only, just like, okay, if they first of all, if they end the special counsel, they open up a can of worms. So if they end the special counsel, Bogdana Papai, they open up a can of worms. And I mean, it's the same problem all over again, because you have Republicans who are going to take over the House and Senate. So Bogdana Papai, it's pretty much impossible. But the thing is, it's Trump has such disdain for Sessions because he was so horrendous. If he ended up inadvertently doing something good, that was despite his inability to do most things. That was despite almost everything he did being horrible, on purpose. Bogdana Papai, thank you so very much, as always. The doctor, thank you. Thank you to my viewers in Australia. Paul, everyone here, thank you. And New Zealand, thank you. Bogdana Papai, thanks so much. So let's continue here.
All have them, and you have come in here and said, I had no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying, and he could probably pass a polygraph.
Point.
It's amazing.
Mr. Chairman.
No, this is my
Mr.
time.
Chairman, I'm sorry.
Point of order.
Point of order.
No.
The gentleman will state his point of order.
A member of this committee just asserted that this witness, who is under oath and a former agent of the FBI, lied. There is no evidence that. I ask him to withdraw it.
Withdraw it.
I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero
There is not a single person on this committee who has ever characterized a witness
Gentleman
as
from
lying.
Rhode Island.
Gentleman
Gentleman from Rhode Island will suspend.
No, the disgrace.
Oh, you shouldn't have gotten Gomer upset now. Did you see what she did? Did you see? And New Zealand, thank you so very much. To my viewers in New Zealand and Australia, thank you. So they got Gomer really upset now. They got Gomer really. He's gonna Gomerize them. They got Gomer really upset. I'm going to fix the echo right now. Okay, hopefully this works. JG, thank you. So check it out.
He just asserted that this witness, who is under oath and a former agent of the FBI, lied. There is no evidence that I ask him to withdraw it.
I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero
There is not a single person on this committee who has ever characterized a witness
Gentleman
as
from
lying.
Rhode Island,
Sitting here,
gentleman,
hearing
it's
before
my
this committee.
time.
That's a disgrace.
Gentleman from Rhode Island will
Praise
suspend.
him. No, the disgrace,
Mr.
what this man has done.
The gentleman
to
from
our
Texas
justice.
will suspend for a
There
moment.
is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
the credibility of a witness?
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
Man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of a witness
Shame
is
on you,
always
Mr.
an issue.
Mr.
And you
Chairman, please, there's
Have you
Mr. Chairman, this is intolerable harassment of the
what is
witness.
wrong with that? You need your medication.
You need your medication? Ah. Why does it always do this? Why does this always do this? What is going on?
Now's the
Gentlemen
Oh my
control.
God, why? Oh my God. So you saw this, he got completely Gomerized. Okay? He got completely Gomerized. And God, it always does this. And it's like every time this part happens, the computer breaks down, okay? Right? JG, isn't it the greatest perimeter? Hello. How is this not the best clip of all time? You need your medication. You need your medication. Oh my God. And you have one congressman here, they're all like, oh, well, hope they don't go into my personal life. Because you know Congress is like the den of immorality. Okay? Peter Strzok is probably one of the nicer, like, moral people compared to most people in Congress. Okay? Okay? Okay. All right. So
and it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of a witness
Shame
is
on you,
always
Mr.
an
Chairman.
issue.
Shame.
Mr.
And you
Chairman, please, there's
Have you
Mr. Chairman, this is intolerable harassment of the
what is
witness.
wrong with that? You need your medication.
The gentleman controls the time.
Of course, every time the computer, I'm telling you, the computer. Oh, what is it? What is it? I swear to God, every time. Every single time the computer messes up. Every time. Every time. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, every time. Every time.
Well, I ask that the witness be permitted to respond.
He will be permitted. He will be permitted
Did
to
you ever
respond. The
talk
gentleman.
to
So every single time, by the way, every single time, this breaks my computer. It breaks the computer. The mouse stops working. Everything just like freezes. The man broke the internet. And I'm not judging his personal life. I'm judging Strzok for setting up and framing an incoming candidate. Just everyone knows. It would be better had he just said, "Look, we tried to prevent an incoming candidate from functioning as president." There would be some honor there. I mean, it's dishonorable, but there it would be in a bizarre, twisted way, at least honest. So where everybody knows they set up and framed Trump. So 63 million people, 60 something, I forgot, 73 million in 20 last 2 years ago. They just simply disregard the will of half the electorate, and it's almost half the electorate, and they have every single possible advantage. New York Times, MSNBC, Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, late night. They have every publication: the Washington Post, the New York Times, Vanity Fair, Esquire, The Atlantic, BuzzFeed, Daily Beast, New Yorker, New York Magazine, Time Magazine, Los Angeles Times. Every social media algorithm, almost every platform. You can't say anything on Spotify. 400 experts say this, and now you have Neil Young. Like, who cares? Like, what, Neil Young? Oh wow! Oh my goodness! Oh wow! Neil Young. Let's put it this way. In that, like, I don't even want to get into it, but like, he's an icon, but there are like a million better singers and more musicians I could think of. But anyway, it's like you have every single advantage possible, and you still need people like Peter Strzok to prevent an incoming candidate from functioning as president. Okay? And that's not right. You can't have this. You just can't have that. You can't have this type of behavior from intelligence operatives. They're not elected officials. Peter Strzok was not an elected official. His text messages show he wanted to stop Trump and protect Clinton. Okay? You have a private email of a Secretary of State that's running outside of the United States government. James Comey said, "Oh yeah, there's top secret and special access SAP intel." How on earth did it get there? Only Strzok and others know. Okay. Probably President. I'm at the point where I'm just thinking, President, it's taking me years. I wrote a little book on this. It's on Amazon. It's taken me years to think, okay, it's probably, she was probably right, or that, she was alluding to having been given permission by the president. So President Obama probably gave her permission or tacit approval. But here you have like serious national security concerns, and Peter Strzok is thinking, oh, well, Trump might have been. You cannot accuse somebody of possibly being installed by another country. You need evidence. That's called a baseless claim. That's called a baseless claim. And what he did, along with Clapper and Brennan, is make a baseless claim. And you have that law firm and the grand jury testimony of Elias. You have all of these people. The Durham probe knows, like, and I wrote in the Federalist, you can see my writing on hagoodman.com. I wrote a good deal about the Durham probe. Okay? And they should be charged under the U.S. Statute 18 U.S. Code 371. They deliberately deceived and conspired against utilizing government agencies against their stated purpose. It is not the purpose of the FBI to investigate an incoming candidate based on the possibility or the hunch or the belief of some people that they were installed by a foreign country. You could say that about any candidate. You could say that about any candidate. And it's just, it's unbelievable. But let's continue here. That's called, by the way, a baseless claim. And these are the same people who impeached Trump because they think that Trump wanted another country to investigate his rival. They investigate their rivals endlessly, and they do so using the system. And then they hide behind this sanctimonious nonsense, even when they get caught. Even when they get caught with their pants down, literally.
Controls the time.
Well, I ask that the witness be permitted to respond to
He will be permitted. He will be permitted
Did you
to
ever
respond. The
talk
gentleman
to
controls
Hillary
the time.
Clinton during your investigation, besides the one questioning you mentioned, before that or after that to this day?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. The gentleman will state his point of order. It is, I think, against the rules of the House for a member of the committee to be impugning the character of a witness.
It is not.
He should ask questions to elicit. The purpose of this hearing is to elicit information. He should ask questions to elicit information. He should not be impugning the character of the witness. The gentleman is advised the rules of the House only are directed to members of the House and the President of the United States. Therefore, in other words, it is okay to impugn the character of witnesses in any way whatsoever? Well, listen, I've heard many members on your side of the aisle impugn character of somebody who is covered by the rules of the House.
And don't you love, like, don't you love the yes, it was a setup. Definitely a setup. Definitely a setup. It was definitely a setup. I agree. But don't you love, like, exactly. That's right, JG. But, like, don't you love the nonsense where they're like, oh, you can't impugn the character of the witness. You cannot impugn the pristine character. I mean, this man was kicked off of the Mueller probe. I mean, the man was kicked off of the Mueller probe for anti-Trump bias. So, I mean, it's pretty clear cut. It's pretty clear cut that he had his own agenda, or he had his own, he basically, all these people were basically rogue operatives of the Democratic Party. Okay, so, you know, the Democratic Party Democrats need people like Peter Strzok, or else the Democratic Party doesn't exist, because that's where most of the corruption is. There's corruption in the Republican Party, for sure. Most of the corruption is in the Democratic Party. They get away with the most corruption because they have media covering up everything. Hunter Biden's an example.
But the gentleman, the gentleman has 20 seconds left. The clock will be turned back on, and he can complete his time, and then the witness can respond.
So if you talk to Hillary Clinton, other than the time she was examined in front of the witnesses.
No.
So after throwing away what you have with all the bias you have, you've never even gotten a thank you. I yield back.
The gentleman may.
Oh, so he just goes in and basically is completely irreverent, which is hilarious. And this is, look, Kleinsmith indicted for lying to a FISA judge. They had so little on Trump, they had to lie to a FISA judge. These people, like the Rachel Maddows of the world, they are convinced Trump is guilty of something. Why? Because Republicans have been convinced the Clintons were guilty of something, but the Clintons were guilty of a lot of things. They just managed to bend the rules and circumvent repercussions. Okay, Trump was in the spotlight for 30 plus years, 40 years, close to 40 years, never accused of any tax issues, never accused of working with the Kremlin or the USSR at that time, or Russia, never accused of being a bigoted person. In fact, the opposite. In many respects, given awards, the opposite. Or at least, at awards ceremony, all these, then when he ran, then they opened up the floodgates of accusations. And then, of course, it was, you're an immoral person for voting for Trump. Oh, okay, so you vote for the Clintons, or you vote for the Bidens, and you're immoral. And that's okay, right? That's the way they work. That's the way Democrats work. It's try to investigate and make as many baseless allegations while setting up your opponent, utilizing the system. They had the ability to utilize the United States government against Donald Trump, and they did. And then they hide behind the sanctimonious nonsense that it was all for national security. Now we're seeing this warped interpretation of national security. National security has nothing to do, and democracy has nothing to do with the Democratic Party's chances of winning. It has nothing to do with that.
May respond.
Sir, well, that's quite a set of statements.
Mr. Chairman, I did not finish with a question.
The gentleman,
there was no question asked.
Mr. Chairman, he's been given the opportunity to respond.
The gentleman will suspend. The time of the gentleman has expired, and as I've indicated
the rules
earlier,
of our hearings are if there is a question asked during the time, the witness may respond to the question after the time.
The witness is going to be allowed to respond briefly.
That's a new rule.
Sir, first, I assure you,
question.
Under oath, as I spoke also.
And that's a new rule. And I've never heard of that rule. That's a new one. You just made that up. That's a new rule.
During my interview a week or two ago, I have always told the truth. The fact that you would accuse me otherwise, the fact that you would question whether or not that was the sort of look I would engage with in a family member who I have acknowledged hurting, goes more to a discussion about your character and what you stand for and what is going inside you.
It's to your credibility, and you lost your credibility.
You've
lost your credibility.
While I doubt it plays well to America, I'm not sure it plays well.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend. The witness has had ample opportunity to express his feelings about that, and now the chair recognizes.
Mr. Chairman, there's a discussion about the representative's first assertion about what the ICIG said that I would like to respond to.
Very briefly.
Very briefly. I have no recollection of that conversation. I can tell you I am not a computer forensic expert. I can tell you that every allegation that we had, and ICIG was a great and close partner.
So Strzok might be telling the truth here. Okay? He might be telling the truth here. The funny thing is, this is how they get away with, this is how Democrats in general, Republicans too, but more so never Trump Republicans and Democrats. When you're hiding behind the government, you might not know, like, he might not know that Clinton's emails were being forwarded, or that might not be technically exactly what happened. Maybe they weren't technically forwarded. Or they were just transferred in some manner. So they'll hide behind nuance. They'll hide behind every single possible, like, they'll focus on a truth to obfuscate the entire picture. So they'll lie by omission. This is a lie by omission. So what Strzok is doing is he very likely could be telling the truth right now about that government department, or meeting an official. He very likely could be telling the truth about meeting an official or not remembering that he met this official. But the reality is he knew that Trump, he didn't have any evidence at all other than hearsay, gossip, a Steele dossier, a hunch, the belief that something could possibly be the case. And that's what John Durham has to deal with. The United States, he cannot accuse the United States government of setting up Trump. He has to find people who lied about a million different things, and then get people under oath and testimony to perhaps commit perjury. Or that's one way he has to find out if people are lying and if people actually did set up Trump. Because the prevailing mentality, and you see this with judges, you saw this with the judge with Michael Flynn, the prevailing mentality is that the government had no ulterior motive. It was only about national security. But it wasn't about national security. It certainly was not about national security. It certainly was not. It was about setting up an incoming candidate. That's the thing. But Comey, it's just like '08, and it'll be like 2022. You'll see hedge funds go under. You see too big to fail banks. We're heading towards not we're seeing a stock market crash, but we're heading towards a situation where this collapse, economic collapse, just like '08. In '08, there were no too big to fail CEOs that went under. I mean, that were there were no too big to fail CEOs that were charged with a crime. Why? Because they didn't do anything technically illegal. Tanking the global economy was technically not illegal. Okay? Credit default swaps and all the derivatives you're going to see now tank the economy. They're not illegal. Okay? Setting up Trump was technically legal. That's the problem. That's what John Durham is up against. Now, when he has a Republican Senate and a Republican House, John Durham will have a lot more backing. But I mean, that's the issue here. That is the issue. The issue is that Strzok was fired, and we can get to the reasons, but ultimately his text messages and the fact that he was kicked out of the Mueller probe, there was too much bias there. Even the IG stated, okay, this man had it out for Trump. But here, let's continue.
Every allegation that we had, whether from them or anybody else, was forwarded to experts who looked at it. The scores and scores of servers and BlackBerries and emails and everything we got were combed over carefully by the FBI's experts to see if there's any indicia.
This, of course, sorry for the echo. This, of course, was not true. This is not true. You had equipment destroyed with hammers. You never found out. Strzok, McCabe, Comey, none of them ever explained how top secret or special access program intelligence got on those servers or got on Clinton's cell phone. So none of them ever found out how that was possible. Okay? None of them found out. And I mean, that's the issue right there. None of them found out. See, that's how Durham already put an FBI official in jail in Boston. A couple, I believe. Because they were hiding behind their post. And so that's what he's dealing with. That's what he's dealing with. How do you indict a government official when even judges have to be given direct evidence that the government did something on purpose just to railroad somebody? It's very difficult. Or when a government official did something on purpose. Well, let's continue.
But you don't recall going over those emails, correct?
I have no idea what you're talking about, and frankly,
and the witness will suspend as well.
I do not know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you just can't let a witness go on forever. When the fact is, you never did anything about those, correct?
Regular order.
And so that's basically that is linked to this directly. You might say, well, what on earth does that have to do with Mark Elias testifying before a grand jury? Because it wasn't just Peter Strzok. It wasn't just Peter Strzok. He's just one piece of the entire puzzle. He was just one piece of the puzzle. You had Peter Strzok, you had Kleinsmith, you had Sussmann, you have the Steele subsource, you have Clapper, Brennan, Comey. Then there are like 3 or 4 other agents and lawyers involved. Oh, then you had Lisa Page. You had all of these people. Then you had journalists who were involved. Then you had BuzzFeed publishing the Steele dossier, which was completely baseless. They didn't even publish Hunter's emails, but they published the Steele dossier. And guess what? Twitter did not. The Steele dossier, coincidentally, did not violate Twitter's rules. Isn't that interesting? Why do you think the Steele dossier didn't violate Twitter's rules? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Twitter, Facebook, social media companies are run by people who are lifelong liberal Democrats. Their sensibilities are infused within the algorithms. Their sensibilities, right and wrong, what they consider moral and immoral, it's all infused within the social media algorithms. So any discussion about Hunter, their politics, they infuse their politics, they inject their politics into the algorithms. And then you have these like hilarious studies. This study was you can create a study to back up any viewpoint at all. Studies now, experts now are meaningless. Because at the end of the day, their political ideology That's what you see first and foremost. So you can say, oh, a study shows Wikipedia is unbiased. Yeah, right. How many times has CNN or the Washington Post, the New York Times had to retract a story, especially CNN? You don't get that. You don't get an emphasis on that in the Wikipedia posts about CNN. Oh, but you definitely will get the first thing you'll see in a conservative publication. This publication had to retract, known for retracting. And I mean, the New York Post is suspended by Twitter. I mean, suspended. I mean, and the BuzzFeed is definitely not suspended because that definitely doesn't, break any guidelines. Odin, I want Columba to interrogate Strzok. You don't have to. The thought just made me laugh. Mr. Strzok, I got a quick question to ask you. When you were texting, "We'll stop Trump," what is it that you wanted to stop? Did you want to stop his the Orange Menace? What is it that you wanted to stop? Or that Trump voters were smelly? Do you really think they were smelly? Thank you, Odin. Thank you so very much, Odin. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. So he was okay. We can go read here. All right. In the latest filing, Durham revealed that. Thank you so much, Odin. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. In the latest filing, Durham revealed that Elias, Hillary Clinton's top campaign lawyer in 2016, also known as Campaign Lawyer 1 in the Sussmann indictment, is one of many who testified before the grand jury. Elias, who launched his own Elias Law Group last year, hired the opposition research firm Fusion GPS. Okay, those people could be indicted too. They knowingly set up Trump. They set up Trump. George Rivera Jr. George Rivera Jr. Hello. Thank you so very much. Odin, thank you. Columba, just one more thing, Mr. Strzok, and I'll be on my way. How many times did you? Oh, Odin, thank you. Thank you, Odin. George. With the Dems, it's much like rules for thee, and rules for me. There's the truth, and their truth. Exactly. Odin, thank you again. That is funny. Exactly. George Rivera Jr. Exactly. Well said. Odin, thank you. That's funny. I appreciate it, Odin. George Rivera Jr. That's true. That's true. And that's exactly like that is how they roll. They demand, if you make an allegation. I got one more question. How many times did you, when you were looking? Odin, thank you. George, it's true. And they also they're horrified. They use words like horrified. Oh my God, they're horrified. They can't believe it. They just can't believe certain things. I mean, how dare you impugn their integrity? How dare you impugn who they are? George and Odin, everybody here, we're going to have a recession. We're going to see a stock market crash. We're seeing the stock market crash. We're seeing that now. But I mean, the 2 to 3 point drop. I mean, the 2 to 3,000 point drop, or the 1,500 point drop. We'll see. Once it gets below 30,000, it's pretty much game over for it's pretty much game over for any once it gets below 30,000, it's pretty much game over for any for people who, for any bullish viewpoint in the market, that's going to pretty much end. And I told everybody, George, Odin, everybody here, Bogdana Papai, did I not say endlessly that it was going to take place? But I mean, look, this is the thing. They were drunk, absolutely drunk with power. And that's the problem. They were drunk with power. They had 8 years of President Obama, and they said, okay, we're not going to allow, 8 years of President Obama, 8 years of Bush prior to President Obama. And in many respects, President Obama continued Bush's policies. And they cheated Bernie Sanders, who was an outsider in a way. But they couldn't do that to Trump. They couldn't do that to Trump. And I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. And I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. And the knock on me on the left, which is hilarious, is that I allegedly wrote something like, oh, here's how Bernie could win, which I never wrote. And the only time I explained that there was a way that he could either protest or try to, because he even said himself that he was taking it to the convention. Had he actually fought and explained that, you know what, his competitor could not win, he might have had a chance. But see, again, that would require a candidate within the Democratic Party to fight the establishment, which was what I was calling for. Because I knew that everybody knew he was being railroaded. And then the confirmation came when the DNC email showed that they cheated Bernie Sanders. But the notion that I would actually push for that was seen as so absurd, because left-leaning voters enjoy getting stomped on and bullied and lied to. I did not. I'm not used to that type of treatment. When you vote Democrat your whole life, you're just accepted. That's part of the Democratic Party process. So that's why they found, like when they go ahead and cheat their own candidate, they do so from the vantage point of, oh, well, we're the Democratic Party. We can actually choose our candidate before, during, or even before the primary process. And they did that. And that's what they were expecting. And they were expecting the same thing with Trump. They said, well, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and set up and frame Trump. And they had it all set up. And they had a lifelong, swamp creature named Jeff Sessions. And they had never Trump Republicans like Paul Ryan and Richard Burr. And so for the first 2 years in office, I mean, they really tied him, like tied his hands together. He couldn't do what he wanted. I mean, this is unprecedented. Republicans investigated a Republican president. Then they blame the losses in the Senate 2 years ago on Trump. It's like you spent 4 years investigating a Republican president because you didn't like his personality. Then you ignore the fact that 73 million Americans voted for him. And it's like, every single, all they did for 4 years was try to obstruct Trump. And that's just Democrats too. I mean, Republicans too. They investigated him based on nothing, like a completely fabricated hoax. But here, Elias testified he was aware of Fusion's plans to have Steele briefed reporters about his anti-Trump research during the 2016 contest, met with Steele during 2016, and periodically briefed the campaign about the findings from Fusion and Steele. Elias coordinated closely with Sussmann on anti-Trump research. So Elias was punished by a federal appeals court panel in March for deceptively duplicative court filings. The judge, his efforts to get out of sanctions earlier this month. The Washington Examiner detailed how Elias attempted to fashion himself as a guardian of democracy, despite his role to undermine the 2016, using a baseless Trump-Russia narrative. Durham said in the indictment that Baker spoke with Bill Priestap, who was, I believe, the boss of Peter Strzok, then assistant director of the FBI's counterintelligence division, after meeting with Sussmann, that Priestap, quote, took contemporaneous notes, and that Sussmann had said he was not doing this for any client. Well, that's the lie there. He was doing it for the clients. Durham revealed that his investigation has also received grand jury testimony from FBI officials, including Baker Priestap, a former FBI deputy assistant director for counterintelligence, an FBI special agent, and an FBI supervisory special agent who worked on the Bureau's Alpha Bank inquiry. So none of them are going to say that we knew, that we had any evidence. All of them are going to say we were told, we had a hunch, there was a possibility. And so that's the problem. That's the problem. And the issue, ladies and gentlemen, is, who contradicted one another? Who contradicted? Did they contradict each other? And that's where that's what Durham is going to look at. That's what John Durham is going to look at. Who contradicted whom? And I mean, that's where the indictments are going to, that's how people are going to get indicted. But here, this is interesting. Durham revealed that his investigation has also received grand jury testimony from, Durham also secured grand jury testimony from 2 current employees of Agency 2. Reportedly, the special counsel contends that Sussmann made similar misrepresentations when pushing the allegation to the unnamed agency in 2017. Employees of Georgia Tech and a former employee of Internet Company 3, which was involved in researching the Alphabet claims, also spoke with the grand jury. When they say that, this is 2 years, and Mueller didn't have 2 years and 3 years, there's zero media support. It's like my channel and some other channels, and that's it. Or, you have great journalists. Catherine Herridge is amazing. There's an attorney online that's doing amazing work. But he's, it's a Twitter profile. But you do have journalists at the Daily Caller, the Washington Examiner, the Federalist is awesome. They do amazing work on the Durham probe. I've written a bunch of articles on the Durham probe. But media doesn't want to touch it. Media does not want to touch this. They do not want to touch this because it's one of their myths. This was a myth. They had to actually purchase a myth. They had to actually purchase their own lie and myth. See, with Trump, everything he says is this grandiose lie, according to them, and democracy is at stake. And they keep on, Robert, thank you. They keep on, Marissa, thank you. They keep on pretending that they're like the paragons of virtue and that they never lie, and it's only Trump. And democracy is, democracy is always at stake. And only they can be the intrepid journalists, who defend democracy. They've redefined democracy as their own political objectives. That's what they've redefined democracy as. Drought tolerant, thank you. They've redefined democracy as their own political, objectives. And nobody is ever going to defend the Steele dossier being purchased. You can't defend that. And here's the thing also. Nobody knows, like, if Rachel Maddow or CNN aren't talking about it, they don't really know. They don't know any of the nuances. They only know the Mueller probe. That's it. They don't know the Steele dossier was purchased, literally purchased. They don't know that there was never any U.S. There was never intelligence. There was never intelligence, and this is a fact, obtained by a United States intelligence agency against Trump, because that would be crossing the Rubicon of corruption, because then they would have had to fabricate something, and then you would have Congress, audit in some way. They never actually fabricated the lies. They purchased the lies. There's a difference. They never actually fabricated anything. They had to purchase all the allegations. So, I mean, that's the thing. They purchased the Steele dossier. Comey had these Comey memos. So you have Comey's memos where he said that Trump demanded his loyalty, and his loyalty was to the United States of America. Meanwhile, he had the goods on Clinton with his Comey letter, basically saying, hey, I did you a solid, and if you become president, just remember who has the goods on you. Then you had you have the Comey letter, you have the Steele dossier, and then you had the Mueller probe from the Comey memo. Sorry, the Comey memos with the Mueller probe, and here you have a bunch of anti-Trump, lifelong Democrats investigating Trump. Oh, and that's right, you had intelligence agencies from other countries. You have a dossier compiled with from a dossier compiled from foreign sources with help from Russian individuals, and that's okay, literally purchased. All of this reporting, like there were probably 10 to 12 retracted stories. All of this completely fake news reporting. And this hysteria where they knew, where like people who knew better were just printing nonsense. The entire country go after one family, Trump's family. And at the end of the day, they found nothing. They found nothing. They indicted people. They indicted people. And they indicted people on process crimes. Simply process crimes. That's it. And so they couldn't find anything on Trump. They never had anything. Durham said he also provided the defense with 94 interview reports, including special counsel witness interviews, the former chairman of Perkins Co., as well as unnamed former former employee of the Clinton campaign. Durham told a federal court late last year that he is scrutinizing members of Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign as part of his criminal inquiry. Very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, and by the way, guess who was part of Clinton's campaign? Jake Sullivan, the current national security advisor. So Baker, who left the FBI in 2018, previously defended the flawed Trump-Russia investigation. The special counsel team also interviewed Baker. So Durham revealed the special counsel also received and handed over more than 110,000 pages of records received in response to document requests and grand jury subpoenas. So, including Clinton campaign, an unnamed political organization, Fusion GPS, Perkins Co. Okay, so, and this is interesting. As the Alpha Bank Durham inquiry, Clinton herself tweeted in the closing days of the 2016 contest allegations that the bank collaborated with Trump. She also shared a statement from Jake Sullivan, then her former foreign policy advisor and now President Biden's national security advisor, on new reporting exposing Trump's secret line of communication to Russia. So there you go. They utilized media, and again, this should have broken Twitter's rules and guidelines, but it didn't. Okay, but it didn't. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Hit subscribe to this channel. So my super chat, thank you. I'll be back with the upload tomorrow at around 11 p.m. So I'm going to start doing just uploads in the day and then an evening live stream. So be here for the live stream tomorrow evening. But the uploads will start by around 11 p.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Pacific. So, and subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. Ladies and gentlemen, the Stock Market Crash channel, unfortunately, is aptly named. Hit subscribe, people. Thank you so very much to my super chat. Thank you, Eric H526, everyone here, JG, everyone here. Thank you so much. And Bogdana Papai, Odin, George Rivera Jr., thanks everybody. Yvette, thank you so much. Everyone here, thank you. Herschel, thank you. Everybody here, I will see you tomorrow. Be here tomorrow for the upload around 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Pacific. Definitely check the channel throughout the day. Get all notifications, ladies and gentlemen. And